Hi, it's Deb from Project Life, Deb's Way again. I've got a beautiful layout for you this time, and it's a very feminine paper line that I've been using, so it would be perfect if you've got a feminine layout to make. I have actually used it for my children just to show some versatility so you can see how else you can use it, and it is produced by the paper line Mintay, and the collection is called Elodie, and I think that's how you pronounce it, and it's absolutely beautiful. As you can tell, Mintay have really excelled themselves with this particular line, and it really blends itself to the Projectlife system because it's very graphic orientated. And as normal, I've got all the cutting diagrams and that on my Facebook group, and I will leave all the links below where you can get that information if you want it. I also will give you a look at all the different the papers I actually used and the ephemeras and etc. before we start making the cards, and I will make the cards from start to finish so you can make out the whole layout from start to finish. And please, before we do go on with the rest of the video, don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button and leave a comment if you want to, as that way you'll know when I do my next video. So without further ado, let's get on with the fun of making our cards. Before we start making the cards, here's a sneak peek of what your layout will look like with photographs added. Hi everybody. These are the papers that I'll be using. It's from the Mintay paper cone called Elodie. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's a beautiful blues, pinks and everything. And I've decided for my cardstock I'll be using some Craft Tutu, also the Dove and your white for your photo mats, and I used a sheet and a half of the pink, a sheet and a half of the Dove, and one sheet of white. Actually did the whole of all of my layering. All the rest of the papers came from the pack, and I roughly used the cut apart sheet, which I used quite a few of the cut aparts for this. Very much a minty thing that you've got your beautiful cut aparts. And I used a lot of these papers, which I'll give you a quick look at the beautiful papers. And I did use, I cut straight down here and straight down here and used the doors as some of my backing papers, and used the ephemeras from the rest of the sheets. I used a little bit of the florals, but not very much. But I did use a lot of this blue cloud, and of course the beautiful 3x4 cards, which I actually use some of these here for that. And I used the girl for cutting out as well, and I used this one here as well. So I used quite a bit of this paper as well, and it made an absolutely beautiful layout, which would be perfect for Mother's Day or something like that, or if you've got photograph with girls, because it is quite florally. Here's our card number 1. I have used the Dove as a 6x4, which becomes our base card, and as normal, because it's cardstock, I haven't edged it. All my cards I have actually edged in a black distress ink, but my ephemera I have done with my normal espresso brown distress ink, just to make these cards pop. And I will show you, when you pop this on, you can actually see how that black distressing makes it actually come and give you dimension. Now this piece of card here is cut here from the paper, so I have just come in approximately ½ an inch in, so you cut up your 6 inches and straight across to get that particular piece of card. Now that is going centered onto my base card. Most of the work is done for you with this once you've cut your layering papers, because the papers are so graphic. So we'll just pop that onto the base card like so. Now this is the lady that I cut from the cut apart sheet, which is this lady here. I also cut one of the little birds from this sheet, and this piece that came from, I just have to work out which one it is. From here. I cut this off of here, and I just cut round the flowers and cut it to what I needed. So what we have to do here is our little girl, I have put some backing tape on the top half and layering it flat on the bottom. So we'll take off our backing, and my lady I want just popped from the bottom, layer it flat, and that actually gives you a dimension. And this little piece here I'm going to pop just down in the bottom like that. So once I've got the placement correct, we'll get that on and layer that on. And the little bird, to match this little bird here, just pop up so he looks like he's hanging on a branch. And there we have our card. Now what I would do here, in a little bit of the pink, I would cut a tiny little square for the top here. You do have some excess with your sheet like that, and then I would do my white card with my date, and sort of just do a little tiny border all the way around like that with your date of what your layout is there, and with a name if you wanted a name as well. I will do mine later once I've finished the video. So there we have card number 1 complete. Okay, we're on to card number 2. Now before I do this, the ephemera here that I've got came from this blue sheet, and you should cut the line down here, and you are left with these 2 little houses here, which I came down and cut straight across and then cut them out. And the little bird I cut from this sheet here, but be careful because you will be using this little cluster here. So just sort of cut into that and cut around the bird. That explains this. And this came from the floral sheet here. You just need one of the bottom corners, and that is a 3 5/8 by 3 inches, and I've distressed that in the black and the ephemera with the brown. The rest are all cardstock, so I used a 6 by 4 with a dove. This one here is a 3 5/8 by 5 5/8, and that is the first layering piece on the top like that. So then you end up with that nice 1/16 of an inch border. Now then I got that little sized piece, and if you have a look, if you get it round the wrong way, you can actually physically tell it doesn't have that little border. So I've designed that so you have that extra little border all the way around. That's why you've got your funny 3 5/8. So we just pop that on flat. Now this is my photo mat, and as normal this one's a little bit bigger because I wanted a true 3x4 photograph. So I've made that 4 1/4 by 3 1/4, and it is sitting on a 4 3/8 by 3 3/8 pink card. And as normal, I always mount my photo mats first, and once again I've done a lot of little 1/16 inch borders. I needed to do this to actually make my photographs pop, because otherwise this is so full on with graphics, you'll lose your photographs. Now this is going 1/4 inch from the top, centered from the top, and that will give you correct all your little borders working. And as you can tell, you need that black around your card, otherwise everything gets lost in the translation. Now with this, I would just put a little bit of tape down the bottom and not at the top, because if you haven't put your photographs in, if you have that stuck down to your photo mat, you won't get them in. Now what I've done is I never put things central, just offside it that little bit, attach that, and as you can tell, you can still get your photographs in. Now my little bird that I did, I'm going to put him down the bottom, raised. And there we have our second card done. Once you've done all of your cutting of your mats and etc., this is quite an easy full layout to put together. Now we're on to card number 3. This one's quite an easy one again. Now this sheet here was cut from this sheet here, and it was just cut here. It's just a simple 3x4 card. I also used for the door, that is this piece here, so I cut this strip down and then I just cut that strip down. Now the size of that is 5 3/4 by 2 1/4. Now I've black edged that, and I'm going to mount this onto the card. Like that, and the sizing will give you just that little bit of a border. Now my photo mats are a true 4x3, so I've done a 4 1/4 by 3 1/4, and once as normal, mount your photo mats together like that. And then what I'm going to do with this is I will just take my tape off once again, and this is going up to the top, giving yourself a 1/4 inch border either side. Now I've mounted my flowers. Now my flower came from the cut apart sheet from here, just that little bit there, and I've got that mounted onto some tape. I'm just going to pop that. Now I've got a little out of my stash, some leaves here, and I'm going to pop them just to get a little bit of greenery going. Just like that, and I'll stick those down, and there we have card number 3 completed. Hi, we're just going to start card number 4. Now you need your dove card, which is from your 6x4, and this card here is a 5 3/4 by 3 3/4, which will give you this little edge all the way around. And this particular card was cut just here, just your in that little area there, but be careful because I'm pretty sure I did use that as ephemera. So I've distressed the edges on this, and we're just going to attach this like that. And once again, I have got your photo mat here, which is a 4 1/4 by 3 1/4 here, and I've got my true 3 by 4 white card, and I will attach my photo mats together, ready to go onto my page. Now this little bit here, this came from your doors that you have cut, and I've just taken one of these squares here. It doesn't really matter where you take it from. I think this one was from the top here, up the top here, but you just need this top bit up the top here. So I'm going to attach that up the top, leaving my little border. Then I will attach my photo mats, which is 1/4 inch from the bottom, centered. Now as you can see, this needs to come across just slightly because that needs to be hidden behind that card. Then this piece of ephemera came from the fussy cutting sheet, and it is the flower just here, cut across, just there. Now all I want with that is to just slide it slightly underneath, and I will be putting a couple of these little greeneries underneath. And then I'll just put some glue on those just to attach them. Just gives you a little bit of depth. And there we have card number 4, very quickly finished. Now for card number 5, which is our 3 by 4s, both of these are both the same, and this is the A and this is the C card. All I've got is a 3 by 4, and then I have taken a 1/7 of an inch off of both sides just to give that tiny little border. So your card is 2 7/8 by 3 7/8, and if you attach that, it's got that tiny little bit of pink. And repeat that for this card. And there is our 2 photo mats done. And when you've got your 3 by 4 photograph, you would just take off another little tiny bit so it just fits in that little square. Okay, this is the other card 5s, which are the B and D. Now I'm doing the B first, so all you need to do is find your 3 by 4 of your dove, and then this one came from the cut apart sheet, which is this one here. So all I've done, I've cut the 3 by 4 out, and I've trimmed that to 3 3/4 by 2 3/4 and heavily distressed the outline. I am now going to attach that centered into the middle of that card, so you've got that tiny border. Now I did cut 3 of the hearts. I did a big one, that one, and one of the small hearts here, and I've just put a couple of little diamantes on there already, and the only one I've mounted is this one here. I did a word there called follow your dreams. I just backed it with a little bit of the remaining yellows, which will go here. So we can now just attach our hearts. So I'll put this one here. Follow your dreams I think I will actually lay that flat, looking at that. So I'll pop that in, but I'll leave my little border all the way around, and then I'll just place my little hearts on top of each other. I'm going to attach them with a little bit of glue because it's just easier. Just overlap them on top of each other. And I think the diamantes just add that little bit of extra oomph that's required. Now our other card, I have done some of the cloud, which is just your 3x4 that came from the cloud. Then I cut this one down to my blue 2 7/8 by 3 7/8, and then this one, which is from the cloud again, is 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. So what that will give me is my layering. So you're following the little tiny borders. And I've distressed this last one, and that will make your base card. Now my ephemera, I have cut the little bird from the fussy cut sheet. I've got a couple of leaves, and this one here is this one here cut, except I trimmed it off as you come up here. Trimmed that bit off, cut the bird off, came down and went around. It was just that it just didn't fit as I wanted it to. So what I'm going to do there is I'm going to lay that one flat. I've distressed the edges as normal. I'm just going to fit that in like that. My little flower here, I'm going to put raised on some mounting tape to give me a bit of lift and texture. So we'll just pop that on there. And I've got a couple of little, I might just move that so it fits. I've got a couple of little leaves I'm going to pop underneath. If you can't get that to tuck underneath properly, just trim it until it will go underneath. There we go. Just pop a little bit there, pop him underneath, and then my little bird, I'm going to have him flat, but having the extra bird on top gives you that double layering look. And I'm going to use the feet from the other little bird that you can see there as well. And there we have our two little eye candy 3x4 cards. Here we go, card number 6. Now card number 6, you need to find your dove in your 6x4. Now this particular sheet is a bit tricky because I took it, if you remember rightly, we cut this little bit out, so I've actually taken it just above to get that sort of flower working, so it's sort of right in the middle of that particular page, and I've cut that down to 5 3/4 by 4 3/4, and I've distressed all around the edging. Now your photo card is your 4 1/4 by 3 1/4 in your Dove, and of course your white photo mat is 4 by 3. So as normal, I will attach my photo mat to my card like so. So that's all ready to go. I've just done a little word there. Now this little one here came from where your door is, and it's this little one here just on your page, and I've mounted that on foam tape. So how we put this together is very easily. Now all of these are landscape cards, so we are going to attach our little card that's distressed, centered. We are going to put our photo mat down, centered, approximately 1/4 inch from the edge, centered so that you've got that nice border. Our little saying I'm going to sit flat, and then our bird, I've got a wad of mounting tape on the side so that you can get your photograph in. And there we have that card done. Okay, we're on card number 7. So all you have to do is you find your 6 by 4 in your pink. Now this particular card here, I cut just here. So you go from where the bird is and you do a 5 3/4 by, I think it is 5 3/4, yes, 5 3/4 by 3 3/4, and I've distressed the edges really well, and we're going to pop that onto the pink card with that little border all the way around. Now this little blue door came from the bottom just here of the door, and I've distressed the edges, and the measurement for the door is 3 1/2 by 3 inches if you need the measurements, and that is going 1/4 inch from the left hand side, centered. Now I've only just got a plain white mat with no backing this time for my photo mat, and that is a 3 by 4. So once again I'm going to place that centered 1/4 inch from the edge. Now this ephemera here, I got that from here, it is here, just there, and I cut straight down, so I had a straight because I didn't see the point of cutting any more out, because I want to just tuck that underneath like that. So I've just got one piece of tape, I'll tuck it underneath, bring it out as far as I can get it, and then stick it down. And there we have card number 7 ready to go in our album. Here is card number 8. Now this one's a real pretty eye candy card. So all you need is your 6 by 4 in your pink, and I cut the cloud here by 5 3/4 and 3 3/4 and really distressed the edges again. Can't stress how important that is with this layout to get your depth correct. So I've just popped that on, and that gives you that border. Now I did cut a strip of floral which is going just on the bottom here like that, but don't distress the edges here, just distress the bottom edge, and maybe just do the sides a little bit, because you don't want it really showing up here. It was just that it looked a bit funny having the sky at the top all the way down. So just put that little bit of floral. You can get that from anywhere, just there. Now it's really important with this, I have got my little saying here, which I have backed onto some pink card to follow through, and I have got some ephemera here. Now this one came from this one here. I cut the fence here to get some of the cloud and that showing through. I also got this from the fussy cut sheet. I just cut one of those out, and this one here, I'm just having a quick, now this little cluster here, you could use any of these small clusters and just cut them around, because all that is I want something just to put here, because I'm going to put the fence here, and I needed something to butt up to the edge to sort of hide the edge of the fence, and then my little lady on the bike will go here.
Get your driver's license.
So now we're going to just tuck that little girl underneath like that, and then we will just pop I thought I was gonna, yep, just pop that up there, and then put my little don't smile. So you just need to sort of juggle this around and sort of just make it fit before you tape everything down. Now I'm going to put a little bit of mounting tape onto my saying. Just to raise it up a bit. I'm going to pop that just in the center like that. Now I think in this case I am going to use glue. Oh, I do have some tape already. Then I'll start doing my layering. Down. I'm undecided whether I'm going to lay this one flat, and I'm going to do to this lady what I did with the first lady that I used on card 1. I'm going to put some foam tape up the top of her half of her body and on this top part of the bike. Then I'm going to have ordinary tape down the bottom. I'm going to just move my little sign here across. I'll just cut that bit of tape off. It's in the way. Just move that across just slightly out of the way of the flower of the handlebar. Now if you've got any bits that are just sticking up like this, I would just put a little bit of touch of glue just to sort of keep that all nice and tucked in. And there we have an amazing, as you can see, you've just got that little bit of 3D going on with your layering, and that it just adds that little something. And it does help if you take all the backing of your tapes off. It does help to actually get them to stick down. There we go. So there we have that card done. Now we're on to card number 8. So all you need to do is to find your 3 6x4 dove card, and I've got a blue card here, and it's trimmed down to 5 3/4 by 3 3/4. And all I'm going to do is pop this together like so, and then I've cut from the cloud a piece that's 3 1/2 by 3 5/8. Now the reason why it's 3 5/8 is so that it will give you that bit of a border. So your 3 1/2 inches don't matter that much if that's a bit different, but your 3 5/8 is quite important because you can actually see a big difference with your borders. So we're going to place that down like so. Now we have our photo mats again, and this is a 4 1/2 by 3 1/2. So then I've taken 1/4 inch off of both sides to give me that little border like that. Then this gets popped onto your card like so to give you. Now I've got a little bit of a cluster, and this cluster, it came from the cluster that you cut the bird from. Is this cluster, it's here, that we are using, and that is going to be just poked underneath like so. And then I have cut out a small pink heart and a blue part, distressed the edges with black, put a couple of diamantes on, and I've mounted the back a little way in. So I glue the other half on over the top so that you can get your photograph in. And another easy card done. Now this is card 10A and B. Because of the plastic sleeve system, again, I'm having to do a 6x4 card, but making them into the 3x4 so it's compatible with how I've done the rest of my album. So I've just got my pink 6x4 here, and I've cut the photo mat down to my normal 2 7/8 by 3 7/8, and I'm just going to pop that onto there and use that as my, so it matches up with my other cards here. Then I have cut exactly the same size in the blue card, and I'm going to treat it exactly the same as though that had a pink border around. Now this particular card came from the cut apart, which is this one here, and as you can tell, I've just trimmed it down that little bit to 3 1/2 by 2 1/2, distress the edges, and that is going straight onto the middle of that, so it's centered again. And I got a piece of the blue door, cut it out, and I've distressed that. And I'm going to pop that in the corner just to get some of that extra into my album, so that your page has the same theme running through. Now I'm just going to add some dimensional tape to my flower. And I'm going to just jiggle that around until I've got it how I want it. Now I've got 3 of those little leaves again, which I'm just going to pop underneath just to continue. Put 2 over there, and then I think I put this one on the bottom, remembering the rule of 3s or odd numbers. There we have that card, really finished quite quickly. I must admit, actually, doing your cards this way, they do actually work out to time-wise to be a lot quicker to make. So here's our last card, 10C. So all you need to do is to find your 6x4 in your pink. You also need to find your white card, which is, let me have a look, 2 7/8 by 3 7/8, and you're going to do exactly the same as what you did on the previous card. You're going to put this on the left hand side with just that tiny little border, except this side, instead of blue, you will be using your dove, which is the same. It's 2 7/8 by 3 7/8, which will go on this side of the card. Now I did cut, if you haven't got any florals you could use your blue cloud flower, but I did cut this one from just here. If you remember rightly, we cut a card just here, so you should have enough, but if you don't, you can find another piece with a bit of cloud with some florals that are left from your paper, or as I said, just use your cloud blue paper, which is ELO 04, and you will get the same result. So we just pop that down, and that gives you your other little border. Now this particular one I have cut from where the blue doors were, and it's here, just right there. So you sort of need to cut up around your florals there, and I've just distressed the edges, and that will be laying flat. So just sort of center it on your card nicely. Now I did cut a couple of these little blooms out, and I'm going to poke them under my bird, and then I'm just going to poke a couple of these little green leaves. And tuck them right in, just to continue those green leaves through. And there we have our layout completely finished and done, and I'll give you a picture of it actually finished with all of your photos and everything in. But just for a quick, there we have it all done, ready for the photographs and ready to go into our album. So there we have another layout finished for my album. I do hope you enjoyed this process of using Mintay papers. They are absolute beautiful papers and do lovely layouts for you with lots of ephemera and things that you can cut out to make everything look nice.